What's up, guys? It is Bryce from Reviews to Rambles, and today I'm going to do a little bit of rambling about a topic that came into my inbox this morning. This wasn't actually my planned video for the day. I'm actually working on another review, so stay tuned for that. This is going to be the GMW V8 with Voltras. So I'm going to show you how I use that with Voltras and how that works. I'm also going to do a total review of the GMW V8, which should be releasing later this week. So stay tuned for that. If you like this kind of content and you want to see that review, definitely always appreciate a like and subscribe. But let's dive right into this particular topic. So this was something that came through my inbox and I saw it this morning. And I was just kind of caught thinking, like, what exactly does this cover? What doesn't it cover? Essentially, it's called Beyond Care from Beyond Power VOLTRA. And it's kind of like AppleCare for an Apple iPhone. So I started thinking to myself, is this actually something that I need? Because I just purchased these two Voltras, but I used my Chase Sapphire Reserve card, which offers an extended warranty on the standard manufacturer's warranty. It also offers loss, damage, theft protection for a fixed period of time. So I wanted to see, okay, so as an end consumer, if you're buying the Voltras, or you already own the Voltras and you got this email or you heard about this plan or you went to Beyond Power's website and you saw this plan because it's featured right now on their website. Is it actually worth it to buy this plan? So let's break down what the plans are. There are two specific plans and each plan is based on a year timeline, right? So the first plan is $99 for 1 year. That's actually kind of a pretty low value comparatively to the second plan, which is $199 for 3 years. So you can either pay $99 for 1 year or $199 for 3 years. Now, if you break out that $199 for 3 years, it's about $65 a year. Now, the caveat is you might say, oh, it might be worth it just to do the 1 year. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll renew it and do another year or another year. But that won't work. And the reason why that won't work is Beyond Power has been very specific that this is only a 90-day grace period window where you can actually sign up for this plan with your existing Voltra, and you don't have to go through this whole verification process. It's essentially an accidental damage plan that you can just hop onto, pay your $99 or $199, and then at the end of that 90 days, the plans are going to be $199 a year in perpetuity. So basically they're saying that if you sign up for the $99 plan this year, then when it expires, it will be auto-renewed at $199. So it'll be $200 a year moving forward when it auto-renews. Now, will they do that? I don't know, but that's what they're saying that they're going to do. So I kind of have to take it at face value at this point. The other one, which is the $200 plan, which covers you for 3 years, that $200 plan will auto-renew at $200 per year at year 4 moving forwards, right? So basically your first 3 years is covered at essentially the $65 a month, and then, $65 a year, which is about $5.50 a month. And then it will move on to a $200 per year fee. All right, so that's the basics on the structure on how they work. So right now it's $99 or $199 for 1 year or 3 years. And then when that term expires, you will be paying $200 a year moving forward. So it will auto-renew. So if you don't want it, you have to cancel it before it expires. They say they'll send you an email within 5 days of the expiration, but you have to be paying attention, you have to be in town, you have to be alert, whatever. So just be mindful of that. You will need to cancel it. So now the question really comes down to, is it actually worth it to buy this plan? And what does this plan actually come with? Because some of you guys have purchased the extended warranty with the Voltras. That's something that I actually did not purchase because my credit card company provides me an extended warranty on products that I purchased. So for instance, with the Voltras coverage, it covers it for 1 year with their standard manufacturer warranty. And now that's against manufacturer defects. And it covers kind of basically all of the simple things. So it doesn't cover things like cables. So when your cable goes out, that's not included. But when your battery goes out, or if your battery goes bad, and they consider going bad less than 80%, that would be covered in your standard warranty. So that actually extends the warranty from the standard 1 year to 2 years with just my standard credit card. Now, many of you have credit cards and probably used credit cards to purchase your Beyond Power VOLTRA, so it behooves you to actually look to see if you already have that extended coverage from their standard manufacturer warranty. But some things that it does not cover is accidental drops, damages, breaks, broken screens, any other type of accidental or liquid damage. So it doesn't cover that. Also doesn't cover a theft or loss, doesn't cover those types of things. And now I mention that not because the new Beyond Care actually covers theft or loss, but because part of what I'm going to compare this to is your standard purchase with your standard manufacturer warranty versus AppleCare, which is something that we're all very familiar with, right? We all buy AppleCare on our devices. And so we know how that works. We know why we buy it. And then I'm going to compare that against my credit card, which is a Chase Sapphire Reserve credit card. They have so many names. And then I'm going to compare it against other kind of premium types of credit cards, right? And so, so really to see where you're at in this timeline and whether or not it's going to be worth your while to sign up for this plan. So for me, I was looking at it. I just purchased these two VOLTRAs. I actually sold a buddy of mine a VOLTRA that I had before. I'd had that VOLTRA for about 9 months, but I just wanted to pass that along to him. He wanted another VOLTRA, or he wanted a VOLTRA, his first VOLTRA, and I just wanted to have two VOLTRAs. So I figured I'd just order it all at the same time, get the package deal, and then I'd pass him along the savings with the old VOLTRA. So for him, we'll kind of use him as the exemplar of someone who has a VOLTRA already, does not have the extended warranty, but just has the standard manufacturer warranty, which is good for 1 year, right? So now here's where we're at, right? So if you have the extended warranty that you purchased from Beyond Power, that's automatically converted to the Beyond Care. So you already have Beyond Care as of today, right? So today you have Beyond Care. You might want to double check before you accidentally drop it, break it, submerge it in liquid. Then that is something you want to double check, but it should be effective according to the website as of today. Now, if you just have the standard manufacturer warranty like I do and my credit card warranty, I essentially have 2 years of warranty against battery problems. And this big bad boy back here is the battery. And then other just general manufacturer defects. So it's not really like use defects, it's manufacturer defects. And so if I break it, it's my problem, right? But now let's kind of compare what that actually looks like, right? So first and foremost, you guys probably have AppleCare, and you probably know you pay, that now AppleCare is doing this monthly thing. So like, let's say you pay 20 bucks a month, right? And that'll cover you for up to 3 devices. It could be your MacBook, your iPad, and your iPhone, or your iPhone, your wife's iPhone, and your kid's iPhone, or whatever the combination thereof is, right? So that 20 bucks a month equates to $240 a year. So now we'll just kind of compare that. So Beyond Power is about $140 less than that by default, right? So this device, now granted, it's not going everywhere with you, but I have a MacBook and I use my MacBook mainly at home, but I still have the coverage because I literally just dropped it like 4 weeks ago and I totally shattered the screen. So I had to take it in, and then it cost me $100 to actually have that screen replaced. Way better than the $3,000 to replace the actual computer, but nonetheless still cost me an additional $100. So with that in mind, with your AppleCare, you're paying $240 a year, and you do have to pay a specific fee in order to take advantage of this service. Now with Beyond Powers, what theirs does is if you drop it, break it, whatever, if it falls, like let's say I want to take mine camping and I string it up on 2 trees, right? And I hook it up using these safety straps, or the mount straps, and I put it on these trees, and then I lift my standard 1,000 pounds, right? And just pull the trees down, and my VOLTRA crashes. All right, so maybe that's not how that's going to work, but Either way, you get the idea. Let's say it's a bad branch, right? It's so I connected to it, it looks sturdy, and then it falls, or the connection's bad and it falls. It either hits a rock or it just hits hard ground, or it falls into some water underneath it, right? So now it's toast, right? So essentially what that means is, would I do that right now, put my Voltra in a place where it could potentially be at risk? Absolutely not, right? Now, if I were to sign up with this plan and it said it would cover under those circumstances, if I was using it as prescribed, right, and as indicated by this Voltra, and kind of what they say from the manufacturer that you can do with these, then I'd be covered. So in that regard, I would say, yeah, I'm going to take these bad boys camping if I have this Beyond Care, because I'm not as worried. Like, gosh, if it falls off the back of the truck and then it hits a rock or whatever and gets damaged, whatever, I can send it back to Voltra. So now the difference between the Voltra coverage and AppleCare is that AppleCare is going to charge you a fee every time you do it. Voltra does not charge you a fee. They also have not specified, I've got my my iPad here, which is also covered under insurance or AppleCare, right? So they also have no specific set limit on the number of times that you can actually replace it. It just says if this happens and you're using it as indicated for the device or as the manufacturer recommends, then it will be replaced or fixed, right? So fixed or replaced. So the caveat there is, under your standard warranty, there's a chance that you might actually have to pay to ship it back to the manufacturer. Yeah, I know, it sucks, right? You say, hey, it's under warranty, and they're like, yeah, it sure is. If you get it to us, then we'll cover it, right? And I always get super frustrated when I see that because it's a little annoying. You kind of feel like they should send you a label. I just shipped a Voltra to that buddy of mine, and it was about $50 to ship it. So I can tell you that if you're going to ship it to them, you're probably going to insure it because it's a $2,000 device or $2,200 device, and you want to make sure somebody signs for it, right? So to do it that way, which is how I shipped it to my buddy, it's about $50, and that was using Pirate Ship. So I was looking for the most competitive rate possible. So even under warranty, I still might be paying $50 to get it to them, even if they cover it. Now, most of the time, they'll cover the cost to ship it back to me. And sometimes, depending on the situation and depending on the customer service rep and whatnot, they'll send you a label. And I feel like companies should almost always send you a label when you're getting something serviced. But with heavier, more expensive shipping, I find that they're less and less likely to actually cover those labels. So just keep that in mind. So with AppleCare, you can walk into the store, you can swap it out, whatever, but you are going to pay an upfront fee depending on the type of device. Like, I think it's like $30 for a screen. For your MacBook, it's like $100 for the screen. For these guys, it's $0, right? So it's $0 to have anything replaced on this, and they cover the shipping to them and the shipping back. So that's with the Beyond Care, not the standard warranty, right? So the warranty, you might be responsible for the shipping, but then if it is covered, then they'll actually cover that. Now, if they get it there and they say, oh, this wasn't covered, you dropped it, this mechanism's broken or whatever, then you have to get into this whole dialogue of, no, I didn't drop it, or this is what happened, or whatever the circumstance. So if you have Beyond Care, it doesn't matter, right? If you drop it, you submerge it, whatever, it's covered. So that's kind of the face value in terms of the differences between the two. Beyond Care, there's no cost once you've paid the $200. It's $200 for 3 years right now instead of the AppleCare, which is $240 for 1 year. The other difference, though, is AppleCare covers 3 devices, right? This was actually something that kind of annoyed me when I saw the Beyond Care thing this morning. It only covers 1 device. So if you have Beyond Voltras, you might have, or Beyond Power VOLTRAs, right? So your Voltras, you might have 2, just like I do. I've got 1 here and 1 here, right? I used to only have 1, so a lot of people probably have 1. So that's a fair assessment, but they should cover up to 2 or 3, right? I mean, I'd say cover 2 because that covers most people, right? You don't have to cover 3, but cover 2. Maybe say, hey, instead of $200 for 3 years, we're going to charge you $250 for 3 years, and that'll cover both of your devices, right? And so what they're doing is they're betting that you aren't going to have a problem with your Voltra, right? And that's how these insurance kind of programs make money, is most people don't have the problems. And then when they do, to have them fix it, it really doesn't eat into their costs that much. And so then they have the masses which have signed up for the program. And so when the masses sign up for the program, they're actually making the money that they lost on you as that end user when you had a problem, from all these other people that don't have problems, right? But one thing I've learned in life, and this is something that I kind of take with me, is if I'm afraid of something, right? I'm worried about something, you can buy an insurance for it. This is why people buy these types of insurance programs, is because they're afraid, right? There's a fear because it's tangible. These things can happen. Every time I connect my VOLTRA, I'm like, is that connected? Did I connect that firmly enough or did I not, right? And so I have to ask myself this, and I say, I think so. And it's not 100% yes, right? These are great, but every once in a while I'll click it in, and it thinks it's clicked in, and then I go to let my hands off, and then it kind of comes down in my hands. And that makes me nervous, right? And so I'm not saying that it happens often, but it happens once in a while, which is enough to know that if I wasn't really paying attention, or if I was doing 8 other things, or my wife is saying something and I'm trying to do something else, and I'm trying to get my workout in, I'm logging something, I'm listening to something, and I'm thinking about something, and all of a sudden it does that, I might not catch it, and it just might take a drop, right? And if it does that, that would be bad news, right? So let's talk about how that would compare to your standard credit card insurance, right? And this is also something that you could take with you for other products, right? So make sure you check what kind of credit card you use, what type of coverage that they offer, because most of the premium cards, and I would say pretty much any premium card you go with, will have some kind of extended coverage on it. So for instance, my card will add at least 1 year of extended warranty. And so that's warranty that the manufacturer has that they automatically offer. So for instance, I had a Sony TV, still have it actually, but it broke, right? And it broke after their standard 1 year warranty, but I A, bought it with my credit card, and I B, bought it at Costco. So Costco gave me an extra 3 years, my credit card gave me an extra 1 year. So that single TV was covered for 5 years, 1 year from the manufacturer, 3 years from Costco, and then 1 additional year from my credit card company. But it's something to keep in mind, because you will have that with other products. So when I bought my VOLTRAs, they tried to sell me the extended warranty, and I was like, not so much. I don't really care, because all you're doing is charging me for what my insurance company, or not my insurance, for what my credit card company already gives me for free. I get 1 additional year of coverage, so I have 2 full years of coverage. And then if at the end of that, I wanted to do something, I'm sure I could reach out to Beyond Power and say, hey, no, it's functioning. They'd run through the diagnostics and then let me sign up for additional warranty or whatever. But if you did sign up for that warranty, once again, it does convert to this Beyond Care. So that's the first thing. The other thing is most premium credit cards have a accidental damage, accidental drop, accidental break, accidental water, accidental theft. I guess it's always accidental. I don't know how you have an accidental theft. It's a theft, right? So some punk came and stole your stuff. So if that were to happen, then most insurance companies will offer that, but it's not for that long. So for my credit card, it's 4 months. So these things are 3 weeks old, right? So if they were to fall right now and break, I can call my insurance company and say, hey, they just fell, they broke, or not my insurance, I say my insurance, but my credit card company, say, hey, they fell, they broke. My credit card company will take care of the costs and or replacement of these units. And they'll do it up to the cost that you paid for those devices, right? So these are $2,200, so they'd cover it up to $2,200. And that's for 4 months. And most of that is because when you get shipped a product, sometimes they get stolen off your door and companies won't reimburse you, or Beyond Power sent it to your door. And then they said, hey, you signed for it. And you're like, no, that wasn't me. I swear, I don't know where that went, but it wasn't me that signed. And it's not like FedEx is checking your driver's license. But if I use my credit card, I can say, hey, that was stolen, and I can get that money back. So just keep that in mind. So you basically have 4 months of coverage with most premium credit cards, and that includes everything that the Beyond coverage or Beyond Care is. That's also on your Apple devices. So think about it that way. So if you have a phone or whatever that breaks, you do have that coverage through your most premium credit cards. And so you should just check, verify what you have. But if you're unsure, just run a quick ChatGPT. Just say, hey, this is the credit card that I have. This is their website. What are my premium benefits, and what are my benefits to cover me against loss, damage, issue, defect on new purchases? And it'll run through the whole gist, right? So it'll give you kind of an outline. So I would do that just to kind of figure out where you're at. But so let's run through it. So cost, if you use the Beyond Care, I'm going to just use the 3-year because the 1 year is really not worth it. I wouldn't even recommend signing up for the 1 year. I mean, if you sign up for the 1 year, it's because you're like, man, I'm moving to Guam and I won't ever use these things. I'm going out into the bush and I'm going to be, backpacking with a single backpack and I won't have this or that, I don't know why you do it. Let's just put it that way, because most likely you're going to want to keep these things for longer. This is probably the single greatest purchase I've made in my gym over the last 2 years, since I did purchase my original one within 2 years. I mean, it's phenomenal. I am going to do a review on these Voltras where I'm going to talk about what I love about them, how I use them, how I incorporate them into my workouts, because I'd say I probably do close to 30 sets a week on these, if not more. I use them a lot. Actually, I use them way more than that, probably 45 sets a week with my Voltras. So it's definitely changed my entire workout programming. It's changed the way that I've approached workouts. And I actually think it's improved my overall strength. And I have more, I would say, more resilient joints as a result of the way that I've been utilizing these Voltras. So stay tuned. If you do want a review of the Voltras, you want me to run through it. I know a lot of people have done them, but I'd be happy. I did not get either one of these for free. I am not getting the Beyond Power Beyond Care for free either. I just thought, hey, I did all this research to figure out if it was worthwhile, so I figured I'd share that with you. Same thing with the Voltras. I'm just want to share it with you. If you guys find that interesting or would find it interesting, let me know. And then also like and subscribe if you do like this kind of content. It's usually just me rambling about stuff, and that'll be exercise equipment. It'll be, random one-off things. But if you want to hear some dude ramble about stuff, you're in the right place. So anyway, let's go through this. So cost, I'm going to say 2 years, the 3-year one, which is $200. So that's way cheaper than AppleCare. AppleCare would be about $720 if you wanted to cover one device all the way up to 3 devices. Now, once again, the bummer is that they don't cover both devices. I'm going to have to compare this more realistically and say it's going to be $400 for me to do this for 3 years because I'm going to be covering both devices. So it's a little less than half the price of AppleCare if I cover both devices, which I would cover both devices. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, I'll just cover one and then they won't know, and I'll tell them the one that's covered is the one that's broken. They want a serial number. So you have to put the serial number for the product in when you actually register it. And they know your serial number because you register that when you turn the thing on. So I like where your mind's at, but it won't work. All right, so you'd basically be $400 out the door, which is $11 a month to cover these things. It kind of sounds ridiculous. I mean, when you think about it, that's like, the Netflix Lite subscription, right? And is that worth it? I don't know. It depends on how important working out is to you and how important your Voltras are to you. You just spent close to $5,000, with tax on 2 devices. Do you want to cover them? That's about 9% of the total cost of the device to cover it over 3 years. And one thing that this last 6 years has taught me is nothing's getting cheaper, right? And so maybe the quality of things are getting cheaper. They're quote unquote cheaper, but that as a quality metric, but not in a cost metric. So things are getting much more expensive. So I think that, when you start looking out at 3 years, I have no idea what these things will cost in 3 years. They might be like $2,600 in 3 years. I don't know. But the point is the comparator is $720 versus, I think it's 720. So let's see, it's 240, 480, 680. Yeah, $720 For AppleCare, we'll say 2 devices. It's one to, so even if you only have one, it's still that $720. If you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve or another premium credit card, that's included, right? So you don't have to pay any extra, but your premium for your credit card is a fixed cost, right? But this is just an additional benefit that you would get with it. The accidental damage you do get for the Beyond Care. You obviously get that for the Apple. And if you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve or another typical premium credit card, then that does cover it. And it's usually for only 90 to 120 days. My credit card is 120 days, so 4 months. So after 4 months, month 4 in 1 day, I drop these things and they break, or drop one of them and it breaks, I'm SOL, right? I have to buy another one. Or really what I'd do is I'd send it in for repair, which would probably be like $1,000 or who knows how much it would be, but it would not be cheap. And you know it's gonna be $50 to get there because I just told you how much shipping was. So, but those are included with your card. What's included with the card is gonna be your standard manufacturer warranty and defects. So manufacturer warranty is covered under the Beyond Care. It's covered under your AppleCare, and it's covered under your both credit cards if you have the Chase Sapphire Reserve or some other credit card. And I think the key with that is just to know it's 1 additional year in most cases, right? So you'll get 1 additional year of coverage. Whereas with the Beyond Care, it's going to be 3 years, and then AppleCare is until you turn it off, right? And so then let's see. The accidental damage, $0 upfront for accidental damage with Beyond Care, which is really nice. 0 damage for your credit cards if you break it, whatever, within 4 months. And you know, that's specifically the Chase Sapphire Reserve, your other premium, whatever that is for your card. And then on Apple, it will cost you extra money, right? So it's either gonna be $30 for a screen on your iPhone or $100 for a screen when it's not the entire case that's damaged, or $299 for your MacBook if it is the case and the screen, right? So it could be up to $300 to replace that, but it's $0 from Beyond Power. You know, the other thing is, you know, so this is beyond the standard manufacturer's warranty. And so one thing I think is important to call out is what is really covered in the standard manufacturer's warranty. And that's just basically any kind of just weird glitch, right? Some weird glitch that you get, you didn't drop it, you didn't break it, some weird thing happens to it. Usually that's something that's covered under a manufacturer warranty. Unless you dropped it and then it starts glitching, in which case you and I both know that that counts as accidental damage because they're gonna know, because they're gonna get it in there and be like, geez, why is this entire gearbox broken? You know, or whatever the scenario is. But the other thing that is covered under warranty, which I think is worth calling out, is the battery. The battery, if it goes less than 80%, it is covered under the standard manufacturer warranty. And if the, yep, I know, he likes that. Yep, this is Sonny, and he's all about covering batteries under standard manufacturer warranties as well. Sonny, you want to tell us about the cord? What do you think about the cord? Well, he says that if your cord is less than 50% total life, is that right, buddy? Less than 50% total life, then it is covered on the Beyond Care, but it is not covered under your standard warranty, right? So the cables are about $40. So every time you go through a cable, then you will actually need to purchase and then have another cable sent to you. So it's 30 or $40 essentially to do that. And you think, oh, that won't really happen that often. It will. You will go through those cables. These cables are like this kind of like, I don't know, ballistic nylon or whatever it is that they call them. But these cables can stretch and can have other issues. It's not turned on right now, which is why I can pull it out and it goes, wow, and it doesn't come back. But so once these things start to fray, so it gets less than 50%, you have to replace it. They might actually stretch a little bit too. They show you how to actually fix that stretch if that is to happen. That's something you can actually just fix on the existing cord and just tighten it up a little bit. It shouldn't happen more than once. It's just kind of like once you stretch something, it's usually stretched and then that's about it. But for instance, like Joe Gray from Gray Matter Lifting, I was watching one of his videos where he was talking, and he's going through about 2 to 3 cables a year. So he's doing a lot of heavy lifting with his Voltras. You know, the guy's probably a lot stronger than me because I did not go through that many cables. So, but I also use it mainly for accessory movements. I don't use it primarily for squats. I use it for, I do add some squat in there. So I can't say that I don't use it for any, but for the most part, I don't really use it for like heavy loaded lifts. So, and then also I don't clip it onto something else and then put another pulley here to double the resistance profile, right? So it has, if you have the beta test, right? So if you're a beta update, then it goes up to 230 pounds. And so if you attach this to a clamp and then you put a pulley in here and you pull from this point, then it's a 1-to-2 ratio. So what that means is for every 10 pounds you've loaded on there, you feel 20 pounds, right? And so, so you can basically take this 230 pounds and make it into 460 pounds on a single Voltra. And so he's probably doing some of that too. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him. But a lot of people are when you actually start to get into the legs, right? Most of my stuff that I've done is upper body. And so I'm not really doing a lot of legs. What do you think, bud? Huh? Doing legs? Are you guys doing legs? I think they're really interested in this topic. They're like, is he talking about insurance? Man, I got to get in there. So anyway, so the cable is something that is included in the Beyond Care. And so let's say you're Joe Gray and you go through 3 of them a year. Let's say you're like me, you know, you use it regularly, but you're not doing a lot of really, really heavy loads. Like the most I usually do is like 200 pounds on this thing, with like lat pull downs, things like that. And so, you know, maybe a little bit more, but even then on lat pull downs, low rows, I'm only doing those, you know, twice a week, with this thing. And so that's probably, you know, cumulative of maybe like 12 to 15 sets. So, you know, if you're doing legs, then you're adding in a lot of additional sets. Now, bear in mind, I am going to be connecting this to the GMWD, and so I am going to be starting to use this for chest press. So that is going to put some more wear and tear on it. But let's just say I do it once a year. Then you figure 40 bucks a shot over 3 years. That's going to be 120 bucks. You know, it's not going to cover the total cost of the actual device. But let's go back to like peace of mind, right? And I don't know about you, if you're worried about your battery life, right? And I did tell you that the batteries are covered. So if they don't charge or the battery performance is less than 80%, then that is covered under your standard warranty. But you're 2 years and 1 day out, right? So like, or let's use my situation, right? I've got 2 years of warranty. I'm 2 years, 1 day out, and the battery decides to fizzle out, right? It's not working. Or it's like 60%, or I can't even use it because it's saying the battery's dead. And who knows what happened to it? You know, maybe I had a surge in the house, or maybe I had something else that went on. But either way, it's not working. And the battery replacement is 400 bucks. So if I do have one battery that goes out on either one of these guys, that equates to the cost of the coverage for both of these guys. So I think that actually does make me feel better. The other thing is I'm really careful with my battery. So I'm like, okay, I got to let it, you know, discharge a certain amount, and then I've got to charge it up. But now sometimes I get into my workout and I've got 60% battery life, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, this should be fine, right? So then I get through my workout, maybe I've got like 30% or 35%, maybe 40% left. And then I put it on the charger. But like, let's say something happens and I rush out, or I forget, or I go out of town and I come back and my Voltra's not charged, right? That would really kill the steam in my workouts, because these are my functional trainers, right? So if I could just plop them on the charger and not worry about my battery, and basically just say, hey, if it dies, it dies, right? Then that's something that I can live with, right? So that actually makes me feel a little bit better. I know I don't have to care or worry about the battery, right? So that's the other thing. So I'd keep that in mind. And if you just have your standard 1-year warranty, most likely though, with your credit card, you probably have close to 2 years or 2 years on there. But that extra year will actually give you coverage. Now, the other thing is shipping and service. We talked about, they cover the shipping there. It's only a single device, so you do have to buy it on both devices. I think that's pretty lame. But I think what they're saying is that's where they're going to recoup some of their costs. The other thing that I was reading about was that if you have a commercial facility and you are using it per standard use, most extended warranties and these extra like Beyond Care packages don't cover that, right? So if you're a personal trainer and you're training in your gym, most of them don't cover it. Theirs sounds like it does. It sounds like if you're using it according to kind of their standard manufacturer guidelines, and it has a problem within 3 years, then it sounds like it will be covered. So that's a pretty big benefit, especially if you have a commercial facility or you're a trainer, and these things are gonna be getting a ton of use. Now, the biggest weakness on this is if I set this in the back of my truck and I'm camping and somebody decides to go by and they pop it out of the truck and they run away with it, it's not covered. If my Apple iPhone was sitting there right next to it and they take both of them, I get a brand new iPhone, but I do not get a new VOLTRA, right? Because my AppleCare will cover my iPhone, but it will not cover my VOLTRA. And theft and damage on my credit card expires after 4 months. So if I'm 4 months out and I can't, and something happens to it and it's lost or stolen, then that is actually not covered. So keep that in mind. So that is kind of a downside, but on the flip side, most of the time it's going to be sitting in your gym. And let's just be honest, most of us aren't taking these out regularly to go camping and do all these other things. But if you are, it is an extra perk. So if somebody, breaks in and takes your VOLTRAs, you don't have to, or you are not going to get any extra benefit from the Beyond, Care. So that is actually going to still be on you. So that's kind of that's the one thing that they don't actually offer. So I think let's get down to, the basic recap, right? So we kind of talked about a lot of things. We got a little bit of tangential. Maybe we went a little longer than I wanted to, but once again, this is a channel where you can tune into, it's going to be one dude just rambling about something. And so in this case, you basically, if you want my recommendation, what I would do and what I am going to do is I'm going to sign up for the 3-year plan. Right? You have 90 days or until November 18th to sign up for the 3-year plan. If you do not sign up for the 3-year plan or the 1-year plan, doesn't matter, whatever your budget permits, right? If your budget permits 1 year, sign up for the 1 year if you can't do the 2 year. But I will say sometimes, and I know this comes across wrong, but right, sometimes being frugal up front will cost you more later, right? Because if you do the 1 year and then you decide to extend it, now you're going to be paying $200 a year, which would be $500 over the course of 3 years instead of the $200. So you're basically going to be short $300 if you do decide to extend it. And my guess is this is how VOLTRA is going to try to make people feel more comfortable. They're probably going to roll some monthly plan out eventually so people can pay per month. Who knows? The other thing is if yours is like my buddy's where I sent it to him and now he's got it, he doesn't have to go through this whole verification process to sign up. He can literally just hop on, sign up, and register his VOLTRA, pay $200, and he's covered for 3 years. So Seth, that's what I do, buddy. All right, and then so I get the 3 year. Do I think it's worth it? It's $550 a device per month, right? I mean, to me, that's a no-brainer, right? I mean, I'm annoyed that I have to do it now, right? They're instilling fear to alleviate the fear, right? In the back of my mind, I was always like, oh, could I drop one or break one? And I'm like, yeah, I guess I could, but there wasn't a plan to cover it for the drops or breaks. So I just didn't really think about it, right? I pushed it out of my mind. Well, what they're doing is they're drawing it back into my mind, right? They're bringing it to the forefront of my mind and then offering a solution. So it's very kind of them to offer this solution that's going to cost me $400, right? So that's the other thing. So think about that. The other deal is if you are good at time management, you could actually set a reminder in your phone for like November 15th and then activate it on November 15th because you got 90 days. And so if you're already covered under some other type of coverage, then you could do it that way. But just remember, in that span, you aren't covered for accidental drops or spills or whatever. I still don't understand where the water's coming from, to be honest. Like, I've been trying to like flex that. If you have any ideas on where people are going to be getting these things wet, let me know. Maybe they're using them by a pool or outside or a flood, I guess, you know, but then your insurance, you would think, would cover it. But I don't even know. So if you know, let me know, because I'm curious. If I spill water on it, I guess I'd have to dump like a whole cup of water on it. I don't know, maybe, but then it would be on my floor, and I don't think I don't set them on my floor. Anyway, I don't know that answer, but and then so really, I think it's worth it. I would sign up for it. I think it actually pays for itself. I am personally going to wait a little bit because I already have 4 months of coverage for my existing insurance. I just bought these things, and so then I'm actually going to get the maximal amount of time from the money spent. Right? So yeah, it's only $11 a month, but if I figure, okay, so if I wait another, 2.5 months, yeah, okay, that's like $25, $30, is it worth it? I don't know. So maybe I'll just sign up. Who knows? But the reason where it becomes worth it to me is on their renewal, where they're going to be charging $199 a year after that, because then that is much, much more expensive. So, anyway, just something to think about. I thought I'd cover it. I figured you guys might have had some questions about it. If you do have any other questions that I didn't cover in it, feel free to drop them in the comment. Always check with your credit card to see kind of what they cover, what they don't cover, because more often than not, they cover a lot more than you think. And we buy all these extended coverages when you don't actually need them, because your credit card will actually cover them. So if you know of some really good credit cards that cover things, throw that in the comments too. Also, if you like this content, you like any kind of review, you want me to review the Voltra, like and subscribe, throw something in the comments, tell me what you want me to review. Happy to do that. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and sticking with me. If you stuck with me that whole time, it might just be my mom that's still watching, but either way, thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and stay jacked out there. We'll see you next time.